exactly the way it was, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Anyway. Holy shit. Rob in
Hello,
Toronto.
how are you?
Doing all right. How about you?
I'm well.
Hmm?
Yeah, I just had a question about the burden of proof. It's something that I've heard come up a few times on different shows.
You're not my Rob in Toronto. You're a different Rob in Toronto. I have a Rob in Toronto.
Not sure what happened there.
I don't know. All I know is you're not him. Give me a second. I need to kind of recalibrate. Hi, Rob. What would you like to talk about?
How are you? I just had a question about the burden of proof.
Cool.
Okay.
I thought that the burden of proof wasn't something that you chose, that it was like kind of implied whether or not you had the burden of proof upon you. And I've heard it say a couple of times on different shows that, and even V said earlier when you guys were talking to that Salt guy, that she wouldn't take on that burden of proof. When I was under the impression that burden of proof wasn't, a choice.
Well, yes and no. Depending on you can't make a positive claim about something and then say you don't have the burden of proof. If you are making a positive claim about a thing, you automatically have the burden of proof, and you can't ditch that. So in that instance, it isn't a choice. But you can abstain from making positive claims if you don't think that you have the ability to provide enough evidence to be sufficient. And what I'm doing in terms of opting out of that burden of proof is saying, I don't think I have sufficient evidence to prove positively there is no God at all. So I'm not even going to make that claim, and that absolves me from having to prove it.
Have you heard the gumball analogy?
The dumb ball?
The gumball analogy.
Gumball. I've heard two gumball analogies. Is that the one where you guess how many are in there? That one?
Yeah. So I have on the shelf behind me, literally, I have a jar of gumballs.
I can hear them.
Right? If you were here and I'm sitting here and I've got Rob and V, and I say, Rob, V, tell me how many gumballs are in here. And V goes, is it odd or even?
Odd or even, yeah.
Right. And V says,
It's even.
It's even. You know that for a fact.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Rob, do you believe V?
Do I believe V? No, it's an I don't know.
Right, exactly.
You have to count them to know.
Yeah, because if you say I disagree with you, you're not necessarily saying it's an odd number. You're saying we need to count the gumballs.
Right.
Gotcha.
So
let's rewind it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'll rewind a bit and say, I've heard other hosts say that they're reasonably sure that some gods don't exist, but they're not sure whether or not other gods do. I'm not sure if you've ever heard the thing where an atheist is talking to a theist, and the atheist asks the theist, well, do you believe in Zeus? And the theist says, no. And the atheist says, well, disprove Zeus, and I'll just apply that to your God.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if you could have some clarification on what gods you were sure didn't exist and what gods you were sure, are impossible and which ones are possible, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Well,
it's just human creativity gives us infinite, descriptions. It's basically me saying, hey, Rob, I want you to disprove an abstract concept, and I'm not going to tell you how the abstract concept works in my head, but you got to disprove it. Well, no.
Right.
For it to be taken seriously in any way, I actually have to tell you what it is, and I have to show you that it's useful. Then we can engage.
Right. Everyone's going to have a different
definition.
Right. Everyone's going to have a slightly different definition of God. And so I don't know everyone's definition of God, therefore I can't make claims about everyone's definition. So I'm going to take it on a case-by-case basis. And the reason I call myself an atheist is because so far, every version of God that I've come across has not convinced me.
Gotcha. So what would be a definition of God that you were unsure of? Because that's what I kind of got, that you were, strong atheist versus some claims, and other claims you were, more agnostic.
Well, okay, so say there's a version of a God that is hands off, doesn't interact with humans at all, is undetectable, invisible, doesn't want a relationship with us, existed before but maybe is dead now. Some kind of deist concept of a god that existed or exists in just some other realm that doesn't even interact with ours. There's no way to positively prove that version of a god doesn't exist because we have no way to test for that god. So in that case, my agnostic side comes in. It's like, well, yeah, sure, I can't prove that definitely, so I'm not going to make a definite claim. Because saying I know that God doesn't exist implies that I have reason to believe that and can provide evidence that it doesn't exist.
And right, kind of like Sagan's dragon there kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and you when you apply that, we don't accept Bigfoot. Right? We don't accept aliens. We don't accept gnomes or goblins or dragons until it's disproven. The time to accept it, the time to live in that place where you're going, okay, this is a real thing, is only when that proof has been given. And so if you are claiming a thing and you are unable to prove it, then I see no reason to accept it in the first place. And if I'm going to be internally consistent here, I'm not going to accept that as true because I can't.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I think that pretty much clears it up. Just on one more thing.
What's up?
Does prayer violate the laws of physics because it has to travel faster than the speed of light? Like if God's somewhere and it gets to him immediately?
So... I wish I could tell you I had not heard that before. I have heard that before, and I've heard it answered. Oh, really? I believe it was a Muslim apologist who said that it's ferried by angels, and angels don't have to follow the rules.
There you go.
Well,
clearly.
That explains everything.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Anyway, Rob, take care.
Right.
Thank you for
I
calling
appreciate your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why even ask? Clearly it's angels.
Duh.
Basically.
Yeah. All right.